good?
Is that better?
Fantastic. Oh yeah, that's really great.
There we go.
So, how is it? How is life? Are you finding the time on weekends to do things like to go? I don't know, do things with family?
Not really as yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
So obviously we've been here just longer than a year, and when we thought we'll have our first break is when we had our lockdown, the first lockdown. So being in retail, I obviously work one weekend day every week, either Sunday or Saturday. Anwen is fortunate enough to be off on Saturdays and Sundays, spending time with the kids. So we haven't had an opportunity to go explore the rest of the country as yet.
Yeah, so a little bit up north, and a little bit past, I suppose, like all the normal stuff down to the viaducts and stuff like that. But honestly, just with the whole year being such a scramble and being able to fly back, get bussed down, come back again, and then obviously 6 to 8 week lockdown, just trying to find feet going back to work. It's just, honestly, I want to say it's been a little bit impossible. It's yeah. But anyway, we've loved catching up with all of us as a family. So that's just been, those 6 weeks were amazing, right? We never would have had that in any other time. So
yeah, same. There was some good things out of that, although many struggles as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So when you look back at your former life in South Africa, what would be the difference in your experience? So do you think you would lose your job over there? Do you think it would be more stress to live there under these same conditions?
I think from my point of view, it would have been quite difficult running my own company with factories that was closed during this time period. So that would have been quite a big negative for us being back in South Africa at this time of point. If I look at friends that also run their own businesses, their own companies over there, the financial impact, the extreme circumstances on all their staff, etc., etc. They're not in the same fortunate position that we are, although there was a certain amount of subsidy that was available for staff members in certain businesses. I think the way it's been controlled and the way it's developed in New Zealand is by far superior to the circumstances that they've had in South Africa during this time period. So we're very, very blessed and very, very fortunate. I think from my point of view, the retail business I'm working for, we haven't seen the actual drop. Past COVID, our sales figures were up week by week. We've really had a tremendous trading period. I think based on the fact that people would normally have been traveling overseas, especially over that time period. So people had disposable income to actually spend money in the country here and not being able to travel. So there is definitely a big spending search is the right word for lack of a better, yeah. So search, you know, what we've seen in the time period, even up till just before we went back into level 3. So the business has been doing very, very well. From our point of view, I can't speak for other companies in general, but what I've seen in retail, certain companies are either going very strong or they really battle and have to make adjustments and new plans to keep the business afloat. We're in a fortunate position that we were still recruiting, we're still employing, we're expanding, etc. So yeah, you know, I think it's a little bit swings and roundabouts for companies. Some of them are surviving and some of them are really battling. So.
Can you compare the work in New Zealand compared to the work experience in South Africa from your point of view?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question and a very good debate that we found on a weekly basis talking to other people. So not just South Africans, but I think a lot of immigrants coming into the country has got a lot of value to add. Our experience and our training platforms in South Africa is completely different to what it is in New Zealand. And I think that's why we fairly sought after when it comes to applying for different positions. In my instance, I had a lot of experience. As you might know, I've been a director for a big company in South Africa. I own my own business. You start from the bottom. It is what it is. You work your way up, but I've been in a fortunate position, and I can just take myself as an example, that I've been promoted within less than 12 months within a company I'm working for. And it basically is because of the experience that we bring to the table at the end of the day.
On my side, I feel is very different. You've come from South Africa where into one you were doing probably 2 or 3 people's job, but there was only one of you, so clearly not enough hours in the day. Getting home, putting our kids, sorting kids out and getting them done, and then sitting around a dining room table and our laptops are open and, you know, we keep working. You know, Jean differently doing it because he wants to do it, because it's his own benefit, right? Because it's his own company. But I was pretty much the same. So yeah, it's a very different pace, which you've got to get used to. You know, things that they're happy for things to happen as long as the work just gets done, and there's not really a time frame. And this is, well, obviously my company I work for, very different to maybe the next company down the road, but the pace level is definitely a lot calmer and a lot more, or smoother per se, if we can say that. You know, it's just, yeah, which leaves you, when you go home to your family, you can have a weekend. And yes, fair enough, there are still weekends, or there's still an odd night where we're happy to, you know, sort the kids out and we have a little bit of work to do, but it doesn't become an all day, every weekend scenario.
So overall, work-life balance is something you enjoy now.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
On the other side, there have been challenges, disappointments perhaps, but also victories. You've had quite a ride. Do you want to talk about some of the things that stand out that you think other people might want to know about? Like maybe some things you were let down by, maybe other things you were pleasantly surprised by, like the work-life balance, which everyone sort of hears about. And not everyone experiences it, but I think most do. I mean, I certainly did.
I think if I can speak from, obviously Anwen's situation was different because she had a job offer before she came over. I came over still sort of having my business running in South Africa. I wasn't really looking for a job right away. When we decided that it's not worth the while flying up and down to South Africa, spending the time, it's also the massive time difference. And I started looking, I think that's when we spoke quite a bit. I've taken a lot of advice of what you've given me, hence the fact that I was able to find a job within, I think, 5 weeks from actively starting looking for a job until I basically started working.
Yeah, our first year has been a stressful one regards to some other circumstances, but during those times we found that, you know, our local MPs and some of the people within running New Zealand, right, are actually still, that humanitarian belief is still there, and all the things that you hear about is actually, you know, it's actually true. You know, it's nice to know that people out there that still care about a family and not just, you know, what you bring to the table.
So this is what the MP liked. So for other people that may be watching, there are many families that have challenges, health challenges and so on. So you had to overcome this compliance, and they really got involved. Now, what I'm hearing you say, they're getting involved in the details of who you are and how you think. Almost, they're almost studying the potential for you to come in. I mean, if they say no, it's going to be a painful thing. If they say yes, they have to justify it. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I think, you know, it made a big difference in our lives. The fact that we were able to communicate with them one-on-one was important and really stood out for us. The fact that they set up a meeting to meet with us as a couple and understand our circumstances and be able to talk through where we're coming from, where we see the challenges lie, and how they can assist us if they were able to assist us. So that was the first thing, is they actually set up a meeting to see, is there an opportunity, and what would the opportunity bring, number one, and how would we actually tackle this process that was lying ahead of us. And I think that to us was very, very important. I made a lot of phone calls to a lot of people. I've sent a lot of emails. I've contacted ex-ministers, if I say ex-ministers, basically from previous government many years ago, that was basically Minister of Immigration, etc., who is now more legal advisors, etc. They gave us a lot of information. They gave us a lot of feedback. And the general consensus were, you've sort of come to the end of the road. You've now hit the cul-de-sac. There's no way forward. And because we kept on looking for opportunities, we knew that what we were bringing, we could showcase that there was no cost to the country. There was no medical history. There was no. So there's a lot of things worked in our favor because we could show exactly. And by being transparent from our side, and put all the cards on the table, we had nothing to hide. We said, this is a family member that's got challenges. That's the way we see it forward. And they were quite open and accommodating to it right away, because they looked at the history and not just what is written black and white on a piece of paper and say, these are the guidelines. Exactly that's the way they actually looked at it and say, it's merely a guideline. It's not, set in stone. And once again, as you said, you didn't need to pay anybody. You didn't need to try and convince people that, it's the right thing. They looked at it and say, it makes sense what we're trying to achieve. It makes sense for us as a family. It made sense for the businesses that we're working for. It made sense for the country of what we're trying to do and what we're bringing to the table in the country. And that made a huge difference in our lives.
I got a job offer and I had to start. In our heads, we were all working forward. There wasn't any obstacles at that stage. And coming over and starting working and finding a house and settling down, and then the family joining sort of two to 3 months later, incurring some obstacles at that stage, but with our one child going into school and Jean starting a job, that sort of, I think at the end of the day, all just accumulated, and it gave us a very, very big push, and just allowed us to, with everything we suddenly could say, this is what we're putting on the table, it made a massive difference. But yeah, who knows, maybe if we knew what we were going through or would have gone through for such a long period, New Zealand might not have been on the cards. That's something that, but I think every family case is going to be very, very different. It's literally, we want to say it's probably down to the case officer that you get, that picks up your file and says, okay, let me start on this family and see what they can offer, So yeah, it's a very, but you've got to have a very, very strong backbone to be able to do it. And obviously coming from South Africa and being South Africans, I think we automatically have those, right?
Yeah. And when you came under exceptionally good circumstances, having that offer before coming here, you obviously impressed someone early, and you came with a very good offer. And so I think that set the momentum for your whole family. Do you see it the same way, or do you have a different point of view?
No, Tate, absolutely. I think from the start of when we met with our agents, which was the August 2018, to me, to doing everything right, to starting to look at putting our house on the market and doing all the paperwork, between that and actually meeting with the company that I work for now and having a job offer in hand, we can sort of say that was about 4 to 5 months. Originally, we were given, listen, guys, be prepared. This can be a year to 18-month process, which we were obviously prepared to do. But yes, having a distributor in hand in New Zealand that I worked for back then and used, and one of the directors flying out, meeting me, meeting up with my director again, who at that stage knew we were potentially looking at moving. And then just hitting the Christmas period, which obviously then nothing happened. So that's why it probably took a little bit longer to get me here first. But yeah, it was an amazing, and we were very, very blessed that everything just between the first and the second interview and job offer and paperwork, it all flowed in that regard very, very quickly. And for us, we sort of looked at it going, well, is this God's work of going, okay, this is what you're meant to be doing, right? You haven't had any struggles. We sold our house very quickly, and all of those little sort of pieces of the puzzle fell in very nicely. So yeah, it was an amazing opportunity, and I know a lot of people out there don't always get that. So I'm very, very blessed with it.
Did you find the preparation for the interview and the video CV, was that helpful for getting that initial close look at your profile?
The video one that we did with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so being with the company where I was for 15 years, I had clearly not been around an interview table for a hell of a long time. So just catching up with you, and also actually being interviewed in a completely different country. So things work differently. They ask different questions. I think we used to a very formal based interview in South Africa, whereas I found the one that I had with my company it was a very chilled, very catch up, let's meet you, let's see who you are, where you would fit in, what the skill set you bring to the table. And with me being in procurement and the supply chain industry, it's exactly what they needed to help sort of integrate and just boost and sort of streamline their systems that they were sort of lacking a little bit on. They needed somebody just to come in with that expertise. So sitting with you and going through all the key points, what to focus on, what to look at, what not to look at, and also putting a potential CV together. So one, catching up on a CV that hasn't been updated in 15 years, but also changing it into a New Zealand format. All of that was just extremely helpful, and another sense of, okay, one less thing I have to really stress and worry about by doing it on our own and going, okay, what are we doing? So the fact that you came on board and helped us with all of those little issues just made it more seamless.
And Jean, how about you? How about your experience as far as getting work in and having them look at your profile? Because you both have great profiles. Many people do. And the issue is not whether the profile's great, it's whether they'll give it an honest look, isn't it?
Yes, I must say, honestly, like I said earlier, I think I took quite a bit of advice when we spoke, and what we've gone through. So one of the points you made clearly is, sometimes it's good to try and find who the company is that's actually offering the position, if you can find the correct people in the business making the decision, because going through an agency can have the pros and cons, obviously, as we all know. So I think a lot of agencies are sifting through, they're looking for specific criteria. You might meet the criteria, you might exceed the criteria, and you get overlooked. So in my situation, if I can take this as an example, they were looking for an assistant store manager. I come with a background of being a director of a company, running your own business. And one of the first questions were, well, you've had your own business for 10 years. How are you going to answer to someone that's got less experience with you as you have, but they are sitting in a more senior role, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a matter of you need to be able to adapt and understand the circumstances that you're coming. And if you've got an open mind and you understand that, number one, you're going to start at a lower grade role profile than what you would previously have been in the situation. That's one thing you need to realize. And if you can't make peace of that, then you're going to have a problem going forward. Number two, salary will be different. So you're not used to the luxuries you might have had in South Africa when you come here. You live in a smaller house, you drive an older car, et cetera, et cetera. It makes no difference at the end of the day because you're here for a lifestyle, not because of the financial gain. which might come in due course. But the reason why we've moved here is not because there was one financial benefit. If anything, as we quite often joke around the workplace, a lot of South Africans have taken everything they've had in South Africa, sold it, took all that money and got themselves on a plane and came to this country. So it's not easy to start up, but finding the right job, I think you need to, number one, not jump around and have your CV out at every single place, because then you seem to be very indecisive of what you're looking for. So my first interview, when I went through to an agency, they had 4 different options for me on the table, and I immediately declined 2 out of the 4 and said, not interested in working for this company. It was quite a high-profile job, number one. It was quite a high-paying job, number 2. But it's a company that is almost, I think, internationally well-known, and I just didn't see myself fitting into that profile. So to me, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about a job. I needed to find what is right for me, and I also needed to find where I can add the most value to another business. Hence the fact it was a step downwards of what I was hoping to achieve, but within less than 12 months, I've actually managed to get promoted to one of the flagship stores in the country because of my experience, because of the ways I conduct myself, my leadership skills, etc. Everything that I brought from South Africa. So if you have the history and you have the tools and the know-how, the sky is the limit. You need to show them that you know what you're doing and how you can add value. And I think it's important when you deal with the right people, and once again, it came to the advice you gave me, don't just leave your CV out there. You need to follow up. Don't think I've sent my CV out to 10 companies, now you sit back and wait. It's always good to say, I've sent you an email or a CV, just confirming whether it's telephonically that you've actually received it, because most of these people, the contact numbers is available on those websites. You can call, even if it's agency, and say, I just want to confirm you have received or you've actually read my CV. Some of them came back and said, read the CV, not the right profile. So we then move on to the next one. But I think being selective and understand what you want to do and what you can offer is important, and not trying to just put your CV out there and hoping to find a job, because people see right through it. It's quite easy to say, I'll apply for any job out there. And you come with a profile and they look at it and say, well, in 6 months from now, this guy's not going to be with the company anymore, because that's number one, not the person's background. He might be bored. He might have different aspirations, etc., etc. They're not going to waste their time and their money employing someone if they know that person is not really the right candidate for that position. So an agency's role is there to find the right candidate that will be beneficial to the business that they're offering this candidate to. And obviously not to say, let's fill a gap for now. We worry about finding a right candidate 3 months from now. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do when they're desperate for a job. They'll take on anything, whether it's the right thing or not, and they're not going to stick around. So
A lot of patience.
you need to have patience. You need to have patience, and you need to be selective in what you're doing. That's the best advice I can give.
Overall, you're happy with the move? Would you do it all over again, even if you had the same challenges? Absolutely,
yes, definitely.
You found what you were looking for, mostly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, and the opportunities are still there. We obviously came here for a reason, and I think, as Anwen said, things fell into place for us. Fortunately, most probably in the beginning a lot easier than for other people. You've seen some horror stories with the first lockdown where people sold their houses. Everything was already on a plane or on a ship on the way to New Zealand. We went into lockdown. People, the job offers were withdrawn. They had nowhere to go. The furniture was halfway across the world. So some people were fortunate, some people were not that fortunate. And it's not just for this country. I think it just goes basically globally. But I think the right time, the right place, things worked out. We had obstacles. So I think in the beginning, a good expression we always had in the workplace was, a man can climb over a mountain, but you fall over a molehill. And it's a fact, the small little things in life make you fall down. but you can get up very quickly. And we were fortunate that we got over the little molehills quite quickly. Then we climbed the mountain and we've reached the top. So we're fortunate.
Yeah. No, we're very happy here. We have 2 beautiful kids. They're absolutely loving it here. And yeah, just the simple things that you suddenly forgot, having been back in South Africa. Yeah, just, kids walking to school and, there's no worries. And yeah, it wasn't our, safety wasn't our first biggest thing, but it was definitely in the sort of the top 2 reasons as to why we just decided that, sadly, home isn't going to be our home anymore, and let's make a move. But in saying that, nobody knows where they're going to be in 5 years' time, right? So, but right now we just, we can see ourselves, whatever our kids are going to do when they're older, that's their decisions. They might go land up studying overseas somewhere. But I think for Jean and I, just going, well, are we happy to actually just, settle here? And when residencies are through and permanent residencies and buying houses and, actually making this our home and, moving from there. So we all very happy.
That's great. The children's experience with school and with after school things, friends, is that coming to life now?
Yeah, Isabella is she's our 11-year-old. She's made a whole bunch of friends in the streets, and they play every afternoon. And she's settled well into the schooling system. There's definitely been, we recently caught up with a sort of a teacher-parent meeting, and she's actually a little bit ahead of where they are currently now. Just coming from a private school in South Africa that was very academically and sports driven. But it's just, I think with the move and all of that, these changes, it's helped her not having to worry about, oh, wow, I need to catch up on all this work that I don't know what I'm doing. And I think for her, that big settle into the school life and making friends was, she's a very outgoing person as it is anyway. So she has no issues with that. So she's settled in well, and our little boy in the early learning center has absolutely loved, also just made friends and, gets along well with everybody. And yeah, it's different for us. It's nice to see just all the formalities around it, right? That we sort of, I suppose we didn't really think about it back in South Africa. Things worked there how they worked, and we thought that was all fine. But here, there's just a little bit of extras. You think, oh, wow, that's actually really nice to know, or nice to hear, or, I think because, so currently she's obviously it's a government school, so they do a lot of fundraising, and, they have their support from the government, but there's a lot of, obviously they need the fundraising to bring more money into the school to obviously be able to offer more things. So yes, definitely more communication with the teacher, that you can drop a mail during the day if there's something that, was bothering a parent, or the fact that the teacher will pick up the phone and phone if something, something's happened, or just, yeah, walking down the school hall and your principal's, hey, how's it going? And a big fat friendly chat, and all of that was just, it was nice to see the sort of the formalities then just sort of was a more a personal one-on-one. Yeah, so it's more informal. So, and all the fundraisers that they do outside of school, that they really want the community to get involved with more, and all of that. So it's really nice to see, and it's nice to be a part of.
You now think it's worth it. Was there a point where you lost hope that you could actually manage this whole thing with the challenges you had with the minister?
No, I don't think so. I think we literally had the mindset that we will make this happen. We need to find the right way. We need to find the right approach. You need to find the right communication channel. And I think that's one of the reasons why we kept on going. We kept on doing research. We kept on looking at what other people did before us, and et cetera, et cetera. And we joined certain groups in the country that is very similar to the situation that we have, et cetera. And a lot of people gave me a lot of negative feedback. You'll never get this right. You'll never get that right. And then two people, believe it or not, as an example, back in the day, came to me, well, didn't come to me, but they basically sent a message and say, you know what, keep doing what you're doing. Your mindset is right. This will, and I think we've always had that positive mindset. We've never, yeah, fair enough. You go through times and you think, when is this going to happen? But I think it was always a matter of when and not if it will happen. And I think that was our mindset. You know, if you want to tackle something like this, it needs to be a positive mindset. You need to keep on going at it. If you give up hope, if you start getting negative, you're taking steps backwards instead of going forward. So we were forever looking at, there must be another door to open. There must be another door you can knock on. There must be another opportunity, a different way to approach this. And that being said, I think we kept on looking, and we always had that mindset that it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time until we get it right. It took a long time, but we got it right, and that was our mindset in the beginning, and that's how we got to the result.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears came with it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not. Yeah. That's,
yeah. Did you find yourself closer together because of the challenges that you worked through together as a result of this big process of moving?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, we all have our moments, right? And it's just, we've just got to keep, you know, we kept talking and going, okay, what if this, change this, do this, what about this, you know? And I think we sort of felt that whatever we did can't be wrong, right? Whatever we try can't be wrong. At least you can, whatever we did, at least we could look at each other and go, you know, we tried this for our family. We tried this way, we tried this way. And at least it felt better for us that we could actually sort of communicate that with each other and not, okay, you go this way, I'll go this way, and let's see what happens type thing. Yeah.
I think we both felt, you know, I speak to friends in South Africa on a regular basis. Also friends that we've actually, people that we actually met here since we've come here and became very good friends. South Africans, people that also own their own businesses, etc., and what they've sacrificed and what they basically left behind them. I think it's an enormous opportunity for us to showcase what we can do, what we've learned in South Africa. I think from a business perspective, in a big retail, most probably South Africa, I'm not degrading any other country, but I think South Africa and Britain is most probably very much on par with the training skills. When you come from a big corporate environment, a big retail environment, and we see it here, it's really the South Africans, the British people that is getting the opportunities to grow your teams around you, to empower people, to share your skills, your knowledge, etc. Yes, you have the guys that stayed back and said, we don't want to leave the country. In South Africa, we love what we're doing, we're happy here. By all means, yes, some of them is surviving, they're doing quite well, they're happy where they are. Some of them is in a situation where they cannot afford to leave the country, whether it's personal, financial, family, whatever the case might be. And then there's obviously people that most probably wish they left when they had an opportunity. They never took the opportunity that comes their way. And that's also something that you sort of got to, I don't think you need to regret. You need to look at it and say, the opportunity for us came at the right time. It knocked on a door. We took it. I've had friends here that I've known from South Africa that's been here 10, 15 years. They've been here for a long time. They came and they made a decision a very long time ago. This is the country where they wanted to stay in, not because they're going to make such a massive difference in the economy, but at that time and point, they wanted something different to their lifestyle and it would benefit to them. I think people that's coming out now, you've got two groups of people. You've got the people that's got really good skills and they're looking for opportunity to share their knowledge, to share their skills, to develop other people around them. And then you've got people that are really desperate to get out of the country and just find a place to start over, a place to call home, a place where they can settle in. And you see on the Facebook groups and things, there's a lot of people really battling to do that. Once again, you need to have, I think the right mindset, you need to be conscious that it's not just picking up, you're not moving from one province to another province, you're moving to another country completely. You can't go back in 2 weeks from now if you decide that this is not working out for you. So when you make the decision to say, this is where I want to go, have your ducks in a row, have your mindset right, and know what you're going to contribute when you come here. Because I think that's the expectation. It's not, you're not coming here on holiday, you're coming here to work and you're coming here to add value. And as long as your mindset is right and you understand that you're coming to make a contribution and you're coming to add value to other people's lives, then you're on the right path. But if you want to leave the country for the sake of leaving the country, I think you need to think twice. You might be going in the wrong direction.
Sadly, there's a lot of people that have come and I think gone, oh, this is like a second South Africa. Meanwhile, it's not. You know, you've got to fit in. You're going to a different country. There's a country with different cultures, and that's the cultures of the country, and that's what makes the country, you know, in New Zealand or in England or wherever. And you need to actually set and go and fit yourselves into how your local community will work. And I think the mindset is not there, then it will make it very difficult. And I think that's where other stresses come in, where people just emotionally are not happy and they'll end up actually going back home. But sadly, yeah, South Africa it's a very beautiful, there's just so much, there is potentially the prospect there of becoming you know, the economy and everything could be so much more than it is right now, sadly. So yeah, just your mindset just needs to be in the right place, yes, whether it's New Zealand or anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. Great to talk with you, and best wishes for the future. I'm here in Nelson. If you're here, stop by. It'd be nice to say hi. Yeah, best wishes for you. It seems like you're now moving into the more pleasant side of immigration with the base established.
Yeah, time to go sightseeing. And put some money back into the local economy and the tourism, right? And,
yeah.
You know, we have our Christmas holiday now booked, which has been more exciting than last year's Christmas. So, yeah, we've got some things planned with family that live in Wellington. So, yeah, we'll catch up with all of them and just have some fun. It's time to have some fun, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Family and friends here. And you're meeting, I guess, you got yourself established now, both of you, in respectable places. You're able to meet expenses and you're able to put time aside if you want to. You deserve it. Why not?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the biggest thing for us is, like you said, meet expenses, but the biggest thing for us is we can actually save.
Great.
You know, every time we were able to save a little bit, then the next thing would jump out. Oh no, this is not going up. And, you know, and yes, fair enough, things go up. But here we actually can save. And yes, it might not be a huge amount, but we can actually save.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
we
very
can
good.
Save.
It's early still for your journey. And so it's
absolutely.
Yeah. May the future continue to get bright for both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
And thank you for sharing. This is valuable information for people. What I'll do, I'll edit it. I'll send it to you first. You let me know what you think.
No problem. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Take care.
Take care. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.